The low hum of the archive's environmental controls was a constant companion as Dr. Ilara Voss and Mira Solon stepped carefully between the tall racks of data drives and storage units. The archive, a place long neglected and considered by many a relic, had become a refuge for those seeking answers not found in the stars but buried in the colony's own history. The air was thick with the scent of aged paper, recycled air, and a faint metallic tang from the decades-old technology humming softly in the dim light. Ilara's fingers traced the spines of digital logs and physical records, each a fragment of a past that had shaped their present turmoil. She pulled a record from a dusty shelf, its interface flickering to life with a cascade of images and text chronicling the colony's early days. Faces of the first settlers, their hopes and fears etched into the pixels, stared back at her. The raw vulnerability was palpable, pioneers wrestling with isolation, with the unforgiving alien landscape, and with each other. "Look at this," Myra whispered, pointing to a video clip of a council meeting from decades ago. Even then, divisions were forming. The seeds of factionalism were there from the start. Ilara nodded, her sharp eyes reflecting the flickering screen. "Isolation isn't just physical here," she mused. "It's psychological, social. The distance from Earth isn't only measured in light years, but in trust and understanding, or the lack of it." They spent hours poring over records, logs of disputes, ration allocations, messages of hope and despair. The colony's history was a tapestry woven with moments of unity and threads of fracture. Each document, each recording, peeled back layers of collective memory, revealing the profound impact of isolation on human behavior. Later, the team ventured beyond the archives to one of the colony's earliest settlements. The site was a skeleton of its former self, broken walls scarred by storms, faded signs barely legible beneath layers of dust and neglect. The wind whispered through empty corridors, carrying with it echoes of lives once lived, dreams once chased. Ilara stepped forward, boots crunching on gravel, eyes scanning for clues. "These ruins," she said softly, "are a testament to resilience and fragility alike. They remind us what we risk losing if we fail to learn from our past." Mira's bright eyes scanned the horizon, the twin moons casting long shadows across the rubble. "And what we stand to gain if we choose cooperation over division." Back at the colony's council chamber, the atmosphere was charged with tension as Ilara presented her findings. She laid out detailed analyses of faction conflicts, psychological stress markers recorded in early medical logs, and the social costs of prolonged isolation. The room, filled with leaders and representatives from various groups, listened intently, some frowning in skepticism, others nodding in reluctant agreement. "We cannot ignore the patterns," Ilara urged. "Our past mistakes are written in these records. If we continue down the same path, we risk repeating history fracture, conflict, collapse. But if we embrace what we've learned, there is a chance to rebuild stronger, more united." Councillor Thane Rykov's cold gaze fixed on her, a silent challenge in his expression. Yet even he did not interrupt, a subtle sign of the shifting tides. Captain Soren Hale, ever the pragmatist, leaned forward. "Understanding our history is vital," he said, voice steady. "But action must follow. We need plans rooted in these lessons, not just reflections." Mira smiled, her optimism undimmed. "This is a starter foundation upon which we can build trust." As the meeting adjourned, Ilara found herself drawn to the ridge overlooking the colony. The dusk sky was a canvas of silvery light and deepening shadows, the twin moons casting a gentle glow over the domes and spires below. The wind murmured softly, carrying with it the intangible weight of memory and hope. She stood in contemplative solitude, the echoes of past decisions reverberating in her mind. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with challenges both new and old. Yet within the silence, she sensed a fragile promiser, chance to transform history's lessons into a beacon for the colony's future. The stars above remained silent, but below, a new constellation was beginning to form in the night sky. But within the hearts and minds of those determined to reclaim connection, unity, and hope from the shadows of isolation, Elara's thoughts lingered on one question. How could they turn the echoes of the past into the foundations of a future where silence was not a prison, but a space for renewal? As the first stars blinked awake in the darkening sky, the colony below stirred with cautious optimism. The journey was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, the path forward glimmered with possibility, and somewhere deep within the cosmic silence, a faint signal pulsed a reminder that even in the vastest voids, connection endures. The quiet between the colony had never known silence quite like this. It was not the absence of sound that marked the moment, but the weight of it. The heavy pause stretched long over the settlement, as if the very air held its breath. After months of turmoil, factional disputes, and unrest, the cacophony had finally given way to an uneasy stillness. Night approached slowly, the light fading over the alien horizon in a muted cascade of greys and blues. And Elara Voss stood alone on the observation deck, gazing upward. Above her, the sky was a vast canvas, a deep velvet smeared with the faintest shimmer of stars. The colony's artificial lights dimmed as the day ended, allowing the cosmos to reclaim its dominion over the night. Elara's breath fogged in the cool air, and her eyes traced the constellations she had memorized since childhood, ghostly reminders of Earth's familiar heavens, now distant and silent. She felt the silence settle around her like a shroud. It was both oppressive and soothing, a paradox that mirrored the colony's own fragile state. The recent upheavals had carved scars deep into the community, yet in this quiet, there was space for reflection, for mourning, and perhaps for healing. Behind the glass, the colony hummed softly, a heartbeat beneath the stillness. Elara's thoughts drifted to Mira Solon and Captain Soren Hale, two of the few who had managed to keep the settlement from fracturing completely. Mira's optimism was a beacon, a steady flame in the darkness, while Hale's pragmatic vigilance guarded the fragile peace with quiet strength. Inside the common hall, the glow of low lights illuminated a modest room where Mira and Hale shared a sparse meal. Their conversation was subdued but earnest, words chosen carefully as they navigated the delicate path from conflict toward cooperation. Myra's bright eyes, usually so full of fire, were tempered now with fatigue and thoughtfulness. Hale's imposing frame seemed less rigid, his voice softening as he spoke of hopes for a future where factions might dissolve into a single, united community. "We have a chance," Mira said quietly, her gaze steady. "But it depends on us on whether we can let go of the past enough to build something new." Hale nodded, his fingers tapping rhythmically against the table. "Trust will take time, but this silence, it's a chance to listen, to really listen." Their words echoed in Elara's mind as she left the observation deck and retreated to her quarters. The room was small, practical, littered with datapads and scattered star charts. The hum of the colony's life support systems was a constant companion, steady and reassuring. Yet the silence within these walls felt different, heavier, as if the absence of noise left space for memories to rise unbidden. A soft knock at the door stirred her from her reverie. Naomi stood there, hesitant, the younger sister's features drawn tight with unspoken emotion. The months of separation, the strain of isolation, and the fractures between them were visible in the guarded way Naomi entered. "Elara," Naomi said softly. "I thought maybe you'd want some company." Elara nodded, stepping aside. The two sat together in the dim light, their conversation halting at first, fraught with the weight of what had been left unsaid. "I've missed you," Naomi admitted after a long pause. "It's been hard, not just out there, but here between us." Elara's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I know, I've been consumed, trying to find answers, to hold on." They spoke then of fears and hopes, of the loneliness that had wrapped around them like a shroud, and of the fragile threads still connecting their hearts despite the silence. It was a quiet moment of reconciliation, a tentative step toward healing the personal fractures that mirrored the colony's own. Outside, a gentle night breeze stirred through the open corridors, carrying with it faint echoes of laughter and whispered conversations. Small groups gathered in clusters, sharing stories, rebuilding bonds frayed by hardship. The colony, though battered and weary, breathed anew. Elara stood once more beneath the starlit sky, feeling the quietness not as an emptiness but as a canvas blank, waiting to be filled with new stories, new connections. The silence between them was no longer just a void but a space pregnant with possibility. Yet beneath the peace lay an unspoken question: could this fragile calm hold before the next storm? The colony's future balanced delicately on the edge of this quiet between, waiting for the first ripple to break the stillness. And Elara, standing beneath the vast cosmos, knew that the journey was far from over. The hum of the communications lab was a familiar comfort to Dr. Elara Voss, but tonight it carried a weight far heavier than routine static. The endless waves of cosmic noise that had once been a mere backdrop to the colony's quiet existence now whispered a secret of faint pulse, hidden deep within the silence that had so long strangled their connection to Earth. Elara stood beside Dr. Linway, their eyes locked on the console as the rhythmic signal began to emerge more clearly. "There," Lin whispered, fingers dancing across the keys, isolating the pattern with painstaking precision. "It's not random noise. This is structured." Elara's breath caught. Years of searching, nights spent staring into the abyss of space, chasing shadows and echoes, had led to this moment. The transmission was faint, a ghostly heartbeat amid the cosmic void, but it was unmistakably there. "Run it through the decryption algorithm again," Elara urged, her voice steady despite the surge of exhilaration that threatened to overwhelm her. Outside, the colony stirred with a ripple of anticipation that had not been felt in years. News of the detection spread quickly, carried by the whispers of those desperate for hope. In the central square, faces once marked by despair now glimmered with cautious optimism. Groups gathered, eyes lifted skyward, as if the stars themselves might finally respond. Captain Soren Hale stood at the colony's perimeter, the dark expanse beyond a canvas of unknown possibilities. His posture was rigid, a sentinel guarding against threats both seen and unseen. Yet beneath the veneer of vigilance, a flicker of hope ignited, a hope that perhaps, amid the silence, a lifeline awaited. Back in the lab, Elara and Linway worked in tandem, peeling back layers of the transmission's code. The signal spoke in fragments, coordinates, warnings, and a cadence that suggested intelligence beyond their own. Each decoded piece was a thread weaving a tapestry of potential salvation and peril. Mira Solon found herself drawn into quiet conversations with Jox Wren, whose knowledge of underground networks lent new dimensions to their understanding. "If this is real," Mira said, her tone resolute, "it changes everything. We can't afford to let fear fracture us again." Jox nodded, eyes sharp, despite the weariness etched on his face. The signal could mean others out there survivors, or maybe something else. We need to be ready for whatever comes. The colony's factions, long divided by scarcity and suspicion, now faced a crossroads. Ilara's discovery challenged the narrative of abandonment and isolation that had defined them. It was a call to unity, a beacon in the darkness urging them to bridge their divides. As the night deepened, the lab's lights cast long shadows, mirroring the uncertainties ahead. Ilara glanced at the constellation of stars beyond the viewport's silent witnesses to their struggle and hope. The transmission was not just a signal. It was a promise that the silence could be broken, that connection could endure even when the cosmos seemed to turn its back. But questions lingered like a low thrum beneath the promise. What was the true origin of the signal? Did it herald allies reaching across the void, or warnings of dangers yet unseen? Could the colony's fragile alliances withstand the revelations to come? Ilara knew the path forward would be fraught with peril and sacrifice. Yet, in this moment, as the pulse of the transmission echoed through the lab, she felt the stirrings of something long dormant, hope. Hope that from the vast silence, a new chapter was beginning, one where rediscovery and resilience would light the way. The colony held its breath, poised at the edge of a future uncertain yet brimming with possibility. And in the heart of the silence, a signal pulsed steady, insistent, a call to awaken, to listen, and to believe once more. The sky above the colony was a vast canvas of stars, more vivid and infinite than ever before. Yet beneath that serene expanse, the colony buzzed with a fragile hope. Ilara Voss stood atop the highest communication tower, the last rays of the twin suns painting the horizon in hues of amber and violet. Her fingers deftly adjusted the transmitter arrays, the soft mechanical hum blending with the whispering wind that swept across the barren plains beyond the domes. It was here, above the fractured settlements, that she envisioned weaving a new web of connection, a network that could finally bridge the chasms carved by fear, suspicion, and isolation. For months, the colony had been fractured, its people divided into factions locked in a precarious dance of distrust. Councillor Thane Rykov's iron grip had faltered, shaken by the revelations of the cosmic blackout and the transmission Ilara had uncovered. In his place, a new leadership began to emerge, one that dared to dream of cooperation and shared survival. Mira Solin, with her unyielding optimism and pragmatic spirit, had become the rallying voice for those yearning to rebuild the colony's shattered social fabric. Ilara's plan was ambitious. Instead of relying on centralized hubs that had been vulnerable to sabotage and factional control, she proposed a decentralized communication network. This new system would use a lattice of transmitters scattered across the colony's expanse, each node capable of independently sending and receiving signals. Such a design promised resilience. If one node fell, the network would reroute, maintaining vital lines of communication. Inside the faction hall, the atmosphere was charged, yet hopeful. Representatives from the major factions sat clustered around a rough-hewn table, the soft glow of holographic schematics bathing their faces in cool blue light. Mira stood at the front, her voice steady and warm as she addressed the room. "This network is more than technology," she said, her eyes sweeping the assembly. "It's a statement that we choose connection over division, cooperation over conflict. We can't rebuild our future alone. We need each other." Her words hung in the air, a bomb to some, a challenge to others. But beneath the initial hesitations, a cautious optimism began to take root. Meanwhile, in the communications hub, the hum of consoles and the flicker of screens filled the space. Captain Soren Hale, ever the pragmatic security chief, worked alongside Jox Wren, the rugged smuggler whose knowledge of underground networks had become invaluable. Their fingers flew over controls, troubleshooting, interference, tuning frequencies, and hardening the system against potential threats. "Never thought I'd be working with a security chief," Jox quipped, a wry smile tugging at his lips. "Don't get used to it," Soren replied, eyes fixed on the readouts. "But we need every advantage if this is going to work." Their banter, laced with mutual respect, was a testament to the shifting alliances that defined the colony's new chapter. Back atop the tower, Ilara and Dr. Lin Wei monitored the incoming signals, their faces bathed in the soft glow of data streams cascading across the screens. Patterns emerged from the cosmic static, faint flickering transmissions that whispered of other presences beyond the void. There, Lin pointed to a pulse of light, a new signal, not just noise. Ilara's heart quickened. After months of silence and despair, this was a beacon, fragile but real. "It's a beginning," Ilara said softly, sharing a smile with Lin. "A bridge across the void." As the colony's factions tentatively embraced the network, the air shifted. Messages of cooperation began to flow where once there had been only suspicion. Emergencies were reported and addressed swiftly. Resources coordinated with newfound efficiency, and the people found themselves drawn together by threads of communication that transcended old boundaries. Yet beneath the cautious hope lay questions unspoken. Could this fragile unity withstand the pressures of dwindling resources, the shadows of old grievances, and the vast unknowns that stretched beyond their world? The stars above remained silent watchers, indifferent and eternal. Ilara knew the path ahead would be fraught with challenges. But as she gazed out over the colony, the twinkling lights of the new network glowing like constellations on the ground, she felt a surge of something profound, a resilience that refused to be extinguished. And in that moment, the silence between the stars seemed just a little less empty. The night deepened, wrapping the colony in a quiet embrace. Somewhere in the distance, a faint alien signal pulsed, a reminder that in the vastness of the cosmos, connection was still possible, still waiting to be found. Ilara's voice, steady and resolute, broke the silence as she addressed her team and the colony beyond. "We are not alone, and we will find our way together." But as the network hummed to life and messages began to flow, a subtle shadow moved at the edge of the settlement, a reminder that even bridges built with hope must be guarded against those who would see them fall. The story was far from over, and in the deepening darkness, new challenges awaited. The void was vast, but the colony's light burned brighter than ever, and Ilara, the astronomer who had dared to listen to the silence, stood ready to lead them through it, toward rediscovery, toward connection, and toward a future forged in unity. The first light of dawn crept gently over the rugged horizon, casting a pale gold sheen across the settlement nestled in the valley below. Dr. Ilara Voss stood alone atop the eastern ridge, the chill morning breeze tugging at the edges of her worn jacket. Her sharp eyes scanned the awakening colony, where scattered lights flickered to life like stars fallen to earth. The once fractured community was stirring, tentative but determined. Each glimmer of illumination was a testament to the stubborn pulse of life, a heartbeat against the silence that had threatened to swallow them whole. Ilara's gaze softened as she traced the winding paths between the domes and habitats, now bustling with figures moving with purpose. The air carried the faint hum of machinery and muted voices, a symphony of rebuilding. It was in these moments, she thought, that the true spirit of the colony revealed itself, not in grand proclamations or strategic plans, but in the quiet, persistent acts of endurance. Far below, in the central plaza, Mira Solin was already gathering a crowd. The sharp-eyed leader moved through the throng with practiced ease, her presence a beacon of hope amid the lingering shadows of distrust. Settlers from all factions mingled, their wary glances slowly giving way to tentative smiles as Myra called for order. "We've come through the darkest nights," she began, her voice steady and warm. "And though the road has been hard, we are here standing together. Today, we share not only our struggles, but our strength." Around her, voices rose, some faltering. Others, resolute as individuals, stepped forward to recount their tales. There was Jox Wren's story of narrow escapes through the colony's underground passages, risking everything to secure vital supplies. Naomi Voss spoke with quiet dignity about the emotional toll of separation from loved ones and the courage it took to keep moving forward. Even Captain Soren Hale, usually reserved and imposing, shared his perspective on the sacrifices made to maintain fragile peace. The plaza seemed to pulse with newfound energy, a tapestry of human resilience woven from countless threads of hardship and hope. Alara felt a lump rise in her throat, moved by the raw honesty and unity forming before her eyes. It was this fabric of shared experience that would hold them together. Not just the encoded transmissions or political alliances, but the very human stories that spoke to their common will to survive. Later, Alara found herself beside Mira, near a cluster of young settlers repairing solar panels battered by the recent storms. The two women exchanged a glance that carried the weight of unspoken understanding. "It's more than science or strategy," Mira said softly. "It's about people, about believing we can still build something better." Alara nodded, her thoughts drifting to the countless nights spent alone in the observatory, chasing signals through the cosmic static. The transmission had been a catalyst, a spark to ignite change. But it was the people, their resilience, their capacity for cooperation that would carry the colony forward. Meanwhile, Captain Hale walked the perimeter, his steps measured and alert. Each face he passed bore the marks of hardship, but also a glimmer of hope. The security chief's duty had shifted from enforcing order through force to protecting a fragile peace born of mutual respect. His stern gaze softened as a group of children played nearby, their laughter a fragile melody amid the quiet tension. Jox Wren, once a cynical smuggler, found unexpected camaraderie with Naomi Voss. Together, they worked to restore segments of the colony's communication network, their banter a rare reprieve from the weight of their responsibilities. "You're not so bad at this," Naomi teased, tightening a loose wire. "For someone who used to run in the shadows." Jox grinned, the lines on his weather-beaten face softening. "Guess I'm learning to stick around in the light," he replied. These moments, small and scattered, formed the resilient heart of the colony's transformation. They told of a people who, despite the fractures and fears, chose connection over isolation, hope over despair. As the sun climbed higher, Alara returned to the observatory, her mind alive with possibilities. The transmission was no longer just a puzzle to solve, but a symbol of their collective journey, a reminder that even in the vast silence of space, the human spirit could find ways to shine. She reached for her datapad, fingers trembling slightly, and began composing a message to the colony. It was time to share the stories, to celebrate the strength that had carried them here, and to inspire the steps yet to come. The resilient heart of the colony beat steadily now, a beacon in the quiet void, promising a future crafted not by isolation or fear, but by shared courage and unwavering hope. And as the day unfolded, the question lingered in Alara's mind. How many more stories of perseverance would rise from the ashes? And how far could this newfound strength carry them through the cosmos' endless night? The answer, she knew, lay not in the stars alone, but in the people who dared to reach for them. A soft chime interrupted her reverie. A new transmission had arrived, faint, cryptic, yet unmistakably alive. Ilara's breath caught. The story was far from over. "This is just the beginning," she whispered to the silent room. Eyes fixed on the glowing screen, heart steady, ready for what came next. The colony's central plaza was transformed into a sanctuary of remembrance. Ilara Voss stood at the forefront, surrounded by rows of flickering holographic candles, each representing a soul lost during the cosmic blackout and the ensuing turmoil. The projected images of faceless settlers, scientists, security personnel, and civilians hovered in the cool air, their soft glow a fragile beacon against the encroaching twilight. A gentle wind, carrying the faint scent of distant flora from the colony's biodomes, whispered through the crowd, as if the planet itself mourned with them. Ilara's voice was steady, yet threaded with an unspoken grief as she recited the names and stories of those who had fallen. Her sharp eyes, usually so focused on the stars, now scanned the faces among the gathered, a mosaic of hope, exhaustion, and raw emotion. "We stand here not only to remember the silence that almost consumed us," she said, "but to honor the resilience that emerged, a refusal to surrender to despair." Mira Solon, standing close by, nodded quietly. Her short, athletic frame radiated a calm determination that had become a pillar for many. Beside her, Captain Soren Hale shifted uneasily, his military bearing softened by the gravity of the moment. His stern gaze softened as he listened, the weight of command tempered by the knowledge of how fragile peace now was. The memorial was not just a tribute, but a call to action. The silence that had once isolated them was now pierced by voices, tentative, cautious, but growing stronger. After the ceremony, Myra and Hale retreated to the council chamber, its walls lined with data panels and the muted hum of life support systems. Outside, storm clouds gathered, their distant rumbles echoing the unsettled emotions within. "We cannot rebuild without trust," Mira said, her voice low but resolute. "Protocols must be transparent, communication must be open. Otherwise, the fractures will deepen and the cycle of suspicion will repeat." Hale leaned forward, fingers steepled. "Security must adapt. We need to protect without provoking fear. The old way surveillance, intimidation only breed resistance. We must lead with integrity." Their conversation was interrupted by a soft knock. Naomi Voss entered, her youthful face marked by the strain of recent days. She and Ilara had drifted apart as Ilara's obsession with decoding the transmission had consumed her, leaving Naomi feeling abandoned and vulnerable. "Ilara," Naomi said, her voice wavering, "I don't know if we can keep going like this. The silence has taken more than just our contact with Earth. It's taken you from me." Ilara's sharp eyes softened. "I never wanted to leave you behind," she replied, stepping closer. "But understanding the silence was the only way to save us all. I'm sorry if I lost sight of what mattered most." The sisters stood amidst the cold instruments and glowing star charts of the observatory, the air heavy with unspoken words and the faint hum of the colony's heartbeat. It was a fragile moment of reconciliation, a reminder that even amid cosmic isolation, human bonds must be nurtured. Meanwhile, on the colony's highest balcony, Councillor Thane Rykov watched the horizon. The twilight painted his sharp features in shades of regret and resolve. The rebellion against his rule had faltered, but the cost was etched deeply into the colony's psyche. His cold, calculating gaze softened briefly as he contemplated the sacrifices made, not just by others, but by himself. The silence he had feared had come at a price he could no longer ignore. Back in the plaza, As the crowd dispersed under the dimming sky, Ilara lingered. The memorial was but a first step, a painful acknowledgement of loss and a tentative bridge toward healing. The colony's future was uncertain, its trust fragile, but beneath the heavy silence, a new signal began to hum, the enduring call of hope, connection, and renewal. "We have paid dearly for our silence," Ilara whispered to the night sky, "but from this silence, we will build our voice again." As the stars emerge, silent witnesses above the colony embraced the daunting task ahead. To rebuild was to remember, to forgive, and to believe that connection could rise anew from the depths of isolation. The price of silence had been high, but the cost of surrender was far greater. And so, in the shadow of loss, the colony began to listen once more, not just to the distant cosmos, but to each other. The journey was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, it was a journey taken together. The night held its breath. The silence was no longer empty, it was filled with the promise of voices yet to come. Ilara, Myra's voice, called softly from the entranceway, "The council awaits you. It's time to move forward." Ilara nodded, a faint smile touching her lips. "Then let's show them what it means to rise from silence." She turned toward the gathering darkness, her eyes fixed on the stars that still watched over them, silent, yes, but never indifferent. And somewhere in the vast expanse, a new signal flickered faintly, a whisper of light in the endless night. The twilight sky stretched endlessly above the colony Interstellar Plaza. A vast dome of deepening indigo scattered with countless stars. Against this celestial backdrop, the settlers gathered in quiet anticipation, their faces illuminated by the soft, shimmering light of a holographic projection hovering in the air above the assembled crowd. It was a constellation unlike any known before, a newly designed emblem born from the transmission's message and the collective will of the colony. The constellation's stars twinkled with subtle hues, weaving a luminous pattern that seemed to pulse with promise. Dr. Ilara Voss stood at the forefront, her silhouette cutting a sharp figure against the glow. Her dark hair was pulled back with precision, eyes bright and steady beneath the weight of years marked by isolation and conflict. Today was not just a presentation, it was a moment of reckoning and hope. As the murmurs of the crowd settled into attentive silence, Ilara's voice rose, steady and warm, carrying across the plaza with a clarity born of conviction. "For too long we have lived under the shadow of silence," she began, her gaze sweeping over familiar faces, friends, former adversaries, and those who had once doubted her resolve. "We have endured the cold void between us and Earth, the fractures within our own society, and the fear that threatened to unravel the very fabric of our home. But tonight, we stand together beneath a new sky, a constellation that tells our story, our resilience, and our hope." The hologram shifted, stars connecting in lines and curves that evoked the imagery of a phoenix rising. Wings spread wide, stars blazing like embers. The symbolism was clear. From the ashes of their fractured past, the colony was poised to rise anew. Whispered exclamations rippled through the crowd as the settlers saw themselves reflected in the pattern, each star representing a community, a family, a dream. Mira Solon stood nearby, her short stature belying the fierce optimism that had driven her mediation efforts through the colony's darkest days. Her bright eyes shone with a mixture of pride and cautious hope. Beside her, Captain Soren Hale maintained a vigilant posture, yet his usual guarded expression softened as he watched the crowd come alive with renewed spirit. The security chief had been skeptical at first, but the unity blossoming here was undeniable. As Ilara continued, She wove a narrative that linked the stars above with the journey they had taken together. She spoke of the transmission's cryptic message, a beacon in the cosmic silence that had challenged every assumption and ignited a quest for truth. She recounted the sacrifices, the losses, and the moments of fragile cooperation that had gradually forged a path forward. Through her words, the colony's fragmented history became a shared legacy, a foundation for rebuilding. In the midst of the gathering, Elara caught sight of her younger sister, Naomi, standing with a tentative smile. The years of strain and silence between them were still palpable, but tonight held a different promise. After the ceremony, Elara approached her sister, the noise of the crowd fading into the background. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the distance of years elapsed. "It's good to see you," Naomi said softly, her voice carrying the weight of unspoken pain and hope. Elara nodded, her fingers brushing gently against Naomi's hand. "We're building something new as much for us as for those who come after." Their conversation was brief, but rich with reconciliation, a quiet testament to the personal healing mirrored in the colony's wider transformation. Meanwhile, Myra and Captain Hale coordinated the distribution of the new constellation symbols, patches, banners, and digital displays designed to permeate the colonies, settlements, and common spaces. Their efforts were meticulous, reflecting a pragmatic hopefulness that balanced idealism with the realities of rebuilding. The colony's infrastructure was still fragile, but the shared symbol was already weaving a fabric of trust and cooperation where suspicion had once thrived. As night deepened, the plaza remained alive with conversations and quiet reflections. Children pointed upwards, tracing the glowing stars of the new constellation with wide eyes, while elders shared stories of the old Earth and the journey that had brought them to this moment. The constellation was more than an emblem. It was a promise etched in light and shadow, a new constellation born not just in the heavens but in the hearts of the settlers. Elara lingered beneath the projection, feeling the pulse of the colony's renewed spirit thrumming through the crowd. Despite the uncertainty of what lay beyond the cosmic silence, tonight was a Bacona signal of hope, resilience, and unity that no darkness could extinguish. "This is only the beginning," she whispered, her gaze locked on the stars. "Together, we will chart the course forward." And as the colony looked up, embracing a new constellation, the night sky seemed to pulse in quiet affirmation, an eternal light after silence. Elara Voss stood alone on the observation platform, the chill of the night air sweeping over her as she gazed upward into the star-studded abyss. The colony's artificial lights flickered faintly below, a constellation of human endeavor scattered across the alien landscape. Above, the cosmos stretched vast and indifferent, the familiar lullabies of Earth's signals silenced into an eternal void. Yet, amid that silence, a pulse of something new kindled, a fragile flame of hope, stubborn and resilient. For years, Elara had been the solitary sentinel, watching the skies, decoding whispers hidden in the cosmic static. Her journey had been one of isolation, both imposed and chosen, marked by long hours bent over data, streams, and the cold hum of instruments that spoke of mysteries beyond human grasp. But through that solitude, she had found not only patterns in the void, but a path forward for the fractured colony. Tonight, as the twin moons cast a silver glow over the settlement, Elara felt the weight of their collective endurance. The transmission they had uncovered a message woven with warnings, coordinates, and hope had shifted everything. It had forced them to confront the stark realities of their cosmic exile, and yet offered a beacon to guide their future. Behind her, footsteps approached. Myra Solin's familiar stride broke the silence, the leader's bright eyes reflecting the pale light. Beautiful night, Myra said softly, joining Alara at the railing. Hard to believe, so much has changed. Alara nodded, her gaze still fixed on the heavens. It has, but maybe change is what we needed. Myra smiled, a rare softness in her expression. The colony is waking up. People are talking again, not just about survival, but about rebuilding, about trust, about hope. Alara allowed herself a small smile, a rare crack in her usually guarded demeanor. It's fragile, but it's there. As they stood together, a low hum from the settlement's communication arrays reached them, a reminder of their ongoing efforts to re-establish contact. Not just with Earth, but with any who might still be out there. Captain Soren Hale joined them then, his imposing presence softened by the quiet night. "We've made progress," he said, voice steady. "The new protocols inspired by the transmission are holding." "Good," Alara replied, "because this is only the beginning." The message wasn't just a warning. It was a call to understand, to adapt, to survive. Later, in a small garden nestled within the colony's heart, Alara found Naomi waiting beneath the alien blooms that glowed softly in the bioluminescent light. Their eyes, messages of pain and distance, reflected in the younger sister's gaze. "You were right to keep going," Naomi said quietly, "even when it felt like I was losing you." Alara reached out, fingers brushing against Naomi's. "I never stopped hoping. For us, for everyone." They stood in silence, the scented air weaving around them, a testament to growth after hardship, to healing wounds both personal and communal. Back inside the colony's central hall, a gathering of leaders and citizens watched as a holographic projection illuminated the room. Star maps, decoded symbols from the transmission, and schematics for new communication arrays spun in vibrant colors above them. The light danced on faces etched with weariness, but brightened by determination. "This is our new constellation," Alara announced, her voice steady, carrying the weight of her journey and the promise of what lay ahead. Not just stars in the sky, but connections between US threads of trust, knowledge, and hope. "We may be silent to Earth, but we are not alone." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, a fragile chorus rising from the depths of isolation. The colony, battered but unbroken, poised at the threshold of rediscovery. As the night deepened, Alara allowed herself a moment to look once more toward the black canvas above. The silence remained vast, mysterious, infinite. But within that silence, she heard something unmistakable. The enduring heartbeat of humanity, pulsing steady and strong, lighting the way through the darkness. The journey was far from over. The void was still immense, the unknown still daunting. Yet in that quiet, Alara found a profound truth connection endured even in silence. And with that knowledge, the colony could face whatever came next, together. Her eyes traced the new constellation, a map not just of stars, but of hope. And she whispered into the night, "We will find the light after silence." The stars above shimmered in quiet response, and the colony below stirred with renewed purpose. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, it was bright with possibility, testament to the unyielding spirit of those who dared to dream beyond the silence.